And then I've got, my project manager, my contractors, my admin staff, my, my marketing departments, my bookkeeping, my, I've already mentioned subcontractors, my estimator, my salesperson. So I've got all these different key people that need to be involved in this business. And how are they going to fit into this business properly?
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it.
Are you ready to start investing in real estate today, but don't know where to start? Sometimes investing can seem way too complicated, but it actually couldn't be any easier than with HomeInvest.com. You know the co-founder and my friend, Nate Armstrong. He appeared on episode 20, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode number 20. Home Invest is a company that allows you to invest in turnkey real estate. Their goal is to build powerful investment tools that make real estate investing accessible to everyone. They have contractors and property managers available for you with the click of your mouse. While other real estate agents can only offer a property, Home Invest brings you a full turnkey package that allows you to diversify your investments, earn passive income, and start building equity in properties. Their simple, intuitive design allows newcomers and experienced investors alike to hit the ground running and to be able to choose the properties when they want and where they want. View easy to understand charts and data to allow you to buy in only a few clicks or just a simple phone call. With Home Invest, you'll be building your portfolio as quickly or as slowly as you would like. And right now, Home Invest is giving our listeners, Pillar of Wealth Creation listeners, a free course on how to finally win in real estate investing. So go to homeinvest.com/pillars. That's homeinvest.com/pillars. to claim your free course today. Hey, welcome back, Pillars of Wealth Creation listeners. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer, and with me, as always, on these Hump Day Hustles is John Stiles with Bridge Realty. John, how are you doing today?
Doing wonderful today, Todd. How are you?
I am doing well. Last week, I think you said you love this time of the year. I absolutely love this time of the year. I've got a view outside my office window, and it's a view of the woods, which is sweet. I've got 140 acres that unfortunately I don't own. I only own like 2, but it's a kind of like a city owned property. It's all woods. And then it flows into a nature center in the neighboring city. So it's pretty sweet. Yesterday I was sitting down and working and I look out my window and there was a nice 10-point buck standing 30 yards from my my office. And for all the hunters out there, it was about a 140-inch 10-pointer. And it was pretty sweet.
Run for your bow.
Yeah. I could hunt at my own property. I don't though, because I don't know. It would be odd. I think it just because of the whole setup. So I just choose not to, but I technically could, I just choose not to. So, but yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, but that's really cool. I just love this time of the year because the deer come out. I probably saw 30 deer yesterday. And I'm sure there was more because I'm sitting here working and every once in a while I just kind of look out and I see, handful of deer and some of them probably were the same ones, but it was, this time of the year is really cool to see that. It's going to get really, really neat in, a month when they start running and they start running around and then you see all kinds of fun stuff. Then it's distracting. It's hard to get work done. So, yeah. So anyways, you got anything you want to hit on real quick before we get started?
Not really. I think I'm excited for the topic, so let's go for it.
Cool. Yeah. So the reason I wanted to, how about you let us know what we're talking about, then I'll kind of shift into my story.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go over kind of some of the concepts that are in the book, The E-Myth, which Todd, you have read, but I have not. I have kind of heard some summaries about it for several years, and it's on my list, but haven't
Yeah,
gotten
you need to read it. Any listener right now that hasn't read it, go and get the E-Myth or the E-Myth Revisited, and read that book. It's a really good book. It's a really, really valuable book to read. And it doesn't matter where you are in your business. I think you just need to read
to. Okay.
it. Yeah.
So why is that? What's so great about it?
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about that. And we're not going to just necessarily talk about the book today, but it's kind of relevant to the book. And what I want to talk about kind of ties into that book. A lot of the philosophies maybe came from that. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to kind of vertically integrate some new businesses into my multifamily syndication business. And because what I want to do is I want to have a business as a whole that runs really well in all kinds of economies, right? So I want it to run really well in a down economy, and I want it to run really well in an up economy. And multifamily real estate for me, well, it actually runs really well in both economies, right? So the multifamily itself, the rental runs the best in a good economy, right? Because people are wanting to rent, or in a goodish economy. I guess sometimes when an economy gets really, really good, people want to buy and then they move out. But anyways, in this type of economy, it works really, really well. And as the economy goes down, then your multifamily might struggle a little bit, but if you bought it right, it's going to still work well enough. However, when the economy goes down and people are struggling and stuff like that, and when the multifamily sector goes down, it's a great time to buy. So then I'm really active in the buying stage. I'm not necessarily making tons of cash flow because that might not be quite as good, but I'm purchasing like constantly, as many as I can. And then a lot of times we're renovating them because we might have bought in a project, maybe somebody who didn't buy right the last time, or they're just struggling way too much. And because they didn't buy right, or because they didn't manage right, whatever that reason is, and we bought their property from them or from the bank, right? And so now we're having to fix that up. So the multifamily actually does well in both economies, but I also want something that can integrate well with the multifamily. And so what that is a construction and a construction company. And I've had my contractor's license forever, and I've had my real estate license forever. So I'm going to marry those two together and form a company that's going to kind of work within. And what that allows me to do is have a construction company that's buzzing along in a good economy, which everybody knows when the economy is good, people do construction. When the economy is bad, people stop construction. But it's perfect for what I do, because when the economy is bad, what am I doing? I'm buying, and my construction crews then will come over and they'll work on the stuff that I'm buying. So good economy, I'm not buying as much multifamily. They're working on retail. Bad economy, I'm not getting as many retail jobs. They're working on my multifamily that I'm acquiring. So they work very well together. And so that's what I'm working on. So that's why I thought, well, let's talk about this, because for me, I'm busy, right? And busy is all relative. Everybody's busy, but I don't have the time to take on something brand new and build it from the ground up and be in it at all times. It's just not going to work unless I want to abandon the other stuff that I'm already doing, which I don't. I still want to buy multifamily. I still want to continue to grow my business. I want to continue to do this podcast and all the other stuff that I do. So as I'm going through this business plan, I've got papers that I've been writing down, different, kind of flow charts, and I've got different marketing plans, and I've got all kinds of stuff that I've been writing down. I'm more of a pen and paper guy, and then I put it on the computer. That just works better in my brain. So that's why you see all these chicken scratches. I put that all down. So I'm looking at, okay, how do I run this thing? What's it going to look like? And what I'm trying to do, and again, this is all concept, so maybe I fail at it. I hope I don't, but if I do, I do. It'll be a good learning experience for me. So what I'm trying to do is go, okay, what's this business look like conceptually? Where am I at in this business? What's my role going to be? And not necessarily what is it today, right? Because today it's going to be a lot different than it is in the future. I want to look at, okay, where do I want my role in this business to be? And then who or the type of people that are going to be in this business and key to its success. So I've got me, and then I've got, my project manager, my contractors, my admin staff, my, my marketing departments, my bookkeeping, my, I've already mentioned subcontractors, my estimator, my salesperson. So I've got all these different key people that need to be involved in this business, and how are they going to fit into this business properly? So I can be, for me, what I want to be is I want to be the visionary. I want to be the person who's bringing the direction to the company, but not necessarily making the day-to-day, not going necessarily out to the projects and, telling them how to swing a hammer and stuff like that. That's not what I want to be doing. I want to be the one that is bringing the vision to the company, and then, of course, making sure that it's running well, and efficiently, and continue to tweak it. And I want to have the people, though, involved properly so that can happen. So that's kind of what I've been looking at. So.
Yeah, and identifying the different people involved is definitely a huge part of that. And then I guess what my mind gets caught up on is then how do you compensate everybody and be a profitable company, and retain good talent and that type of stuff.
Yeah. So on a growing or new company, I think one of the easiest ways to compensate people is going to be like a commission based, right? So if we don't perform, you don't make money, and I don't make money, quite frankly. So do you want to be a part of this? So now we can do a couple different ways. One is we can get a couple partners, right? I can be the visionary partner still, and then I can have 2 or 3 other partners, and they can share in profits however we decide to split it, whether it's 50-50, or maybe we have 3 of them and it's a third, or maybe it's totally different than that. So that's one way. The other way is to just hire on, people. So I hire on so the construction business is kind of cool because I can have subcontractors, right? So I don't have to hire them. They can just come and do work when I have the work, but I have to somehow get the job. So maybe I hire a sales rep and they get a certain amount of the profits for selling jobs. And maybe so there's ways to do it where it's more commission based. I already have a bookkeeper. She can start doing the books for that. That's fine. She's got time to do it. So that works out well. And eventually then when she gets too busy, then I have to hire more people on to do more of the admin work. And so she just has to do minimal, just the books, focus on one aspect. And so, yeah, it is challenging because, like you said, even if you do have income, let's say you've got $300,000 worth of sales, your net profit's only going to be, $40,000 or $50,000. Well, geez, if I hire somebody, now I'm down to zero, because I got to pay them. So how do I do that? So that's the key, is how do we do it? How do we pay people fairly to where we're still making some money? In the construction business, the good thing is the margins are big enough to where, if we're selling $300,000 worth of sales, we're probably making, like a 25% profit on that. So I do have opportunity to pay some people. Eventually we got to get bigger, right? So, yeah, but great question. How do we pay people? How do we pay them from the start? And for me, the answer is as much as possible, do commission-based or bring on partners that you can, have as part of the company. But if you bring on partners, you have to realize that they're partners, right? and they're going to be there for potentially forever, or you're going to have to buy them out. So if you don't want them as partners eventually, if you go, I want this thing to be mine, but I just need them to start, then try to figure out a way to make them commission based, or make it to where they are getting maybe larger ownership role, larger percentage of the profit up front, and eventually they phase out of the business, setting up a plan like that, telling them up front exactly what you're expecting of them, if you want this business to be your own in the end. So it kind of depends on how you want to set it up.
Well, I have some additional questions that are maybe specific to your venture there, and I don't know if you want to get into that, or do you want to get into more some of the concepts behind just setting this up?
Yeah, I do want to get into the concepts setting up, but go ahead, ask a question. I'll tell you to go get lost if I don't want to answer it.
So, for example, target market for your construction business. You mentioned retail clients,
Mm-hmm.
and so that'd be like,
Well, I meant by retail, I meant not me.
okay,
Right? Because I've owned my construction business for, quite some time. Since 2010 is when I got my contractor's license, started my construction business. But it's always been me. We've been completing our own projects, our own flips, our own rentals, that kind of stuff. And I've done some third party, some retail stuff, but mostly that. So that's what I mean by retail, just not me, somebody else.
So are you going to narrow that down to like commercial type construction, or residential?
Yeah. So right now I'm not going to give away all my secret sauce, because I want to actually build this business, because I think I have a fairly good idea. Other people are doing it, but not to the way I want to do it. So basically, we'll be working with homeowners, and essentially we're going to be working with homeowners that, are looking to sell their house, whether it be today or maybe, a couple of years down the road, but they in their horizon, they're seeing a sale happening soon.
Sure.
So that's kind of the niche that I want to carve out. And we're going to strategically go into their house. Like, as I said, other people are actually doing this still, but we're going to strategically go into their house and choose things that we think will increase the value of the house, and maybe not necessarily just please them, because that's what a lot of people want to do when they do construction. They want to please themselves. We don't want to go in there with that mindset. We want to go in there with the mindset of, this is going to be the most strategic way to sell your house. It might not be the perfect color for you. It might not be the perfect cabinet style for you, the perfect, all that kind of stuff, but it's going to be the most market friendly for everybody.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you're going to focus in the whole Twin Cities, or kind of up where you live, or?
Yeah. So right now the focus will be in the probably the first two rings, maybe the third ring in certain areas, but the first two rings of the suburbs, and probably a little bit in the city. The goal will be to have the right team members in place and have more regions for those team members to be able to focus on. So right now I'm based in the Northeast Metro. Likely that'll be kind of where we focus on, the St. Paul in the Northeast suburbs. And then as I bring on more team members, we'll likely be focusing on their geographical locations and trying to build it through there. So hopefully eventually we'll be consuming most of the Twin Cities. But it's going to only grow, I think, as to those areas where it's strategically, positive to do. So.
Yeah. And so as I think about my options for hiring contractors in the Twin Cities, there's kind of some small outfits that are a couple of guys in a truck, or, maybe just one person. And then there's some larger outfits that they've got a call center for all the different customer service needs and all these different things. So do you have kind of a vision of how large this endeavor will be?
Yeah, I would like to be fairly large. I don't want a bulky company. I still want a kind of a sleek and affordable company, because once you get too big, oftentimes people make it bulky, and I think that's actually a mistake that these companies do, and I think it's not needed. You should be able to actually run as efficient or maybe even more efficient as you grow. So I think there's going to be ways for us to grow without being too bulky. Um, but yeah, for me, the vision would be able to handle, at least 15 to 20 projects at a time minimum. And so that would be, 15 to 20 projects a month essentially. Um, and then potentially grow from there. It doesn't make sense to start a business, and for me it does not make sense. It makes sense, well, I don't even think it makes sense to do that, but whatever. People will do it to be their own contract, to be, working for themselves and just be them. But for me, it doesn't make sense to do that. It's got to be big enough to where it's a large enough company to where it's profitable, and to be where I can take, to where I have crews working on different projects, and to where I can take a crew or two or three and take them off of these jobs and bring them into one of my apartments and do that work, and it not to affect the stability of the company.
Yeah. So you can still operate servicing your clients that you've built up,
Yeah.
and also take care of your uh, own properties.
Because even in a bad economy, for what I'm trying to do, it'll be harder to sell because people are fearful in bad economies. But even in a bad economy, that makes a lot of sense to do. And quite frankly, a lot of times it makes more sense to do in a bad economy. It's just, can we convince people it does? So yeah, I think we'll still be doing work in a bad economy for retail customers to just be less, and then we'll be able to shift. So, hey, I want to interrupt this episode real quick to talk to you about Nate Armstrong, our sponsor, Nate Armstrong. He's with homeinvest.com, and you want to get to know Nate. So go to homeinvest.com and just connect with Nate, talk to him, learn about his operation, what he's got going on. He's a turnkey provider, and it may not be right for you, but it could be the perfect fit. So it doesn't hurt. It's a free call, consultation, just to figure out, what they do, what they have to offer. And worst case is you're going to meet a great person who's really well educated in real estate. He's done a ton of different real estate strategies, and probably is going to teach you a little bit, even on a short conversation with him. So go to homeinvest.com and connect with Nate's company. You're definitely not going to be disappointed. It's worth it. So thanks, and we'll get back to our show.
So any other detail on that, on the flow charts, who's your maybe first hire, or, what's the next step in order to get this off the ground?
Well, before I talk about who my first hire is, I think it's important to understand why, and so for me, it's got to be, when I want to build this business and any business moving forward, there's got to be a few things. First of all, I want it to be vertically integrated, right? So I want it to make sense through the flow of all my companies. I would choose not to start a brand new business that has nothing to do with what I'm doing. Now, at least that's right now. Okay. That's where I am right now. So as vertically integrated as possible would be beneficial to me. So anything that I bring on from here, I would like to make sense. So if I start a real estate brokerage, that could make sense. If I start a mortgage company, that could make sense. A title company, that could make sense. All these things could make sense to flow with it. So I want it to flow together. So that's number one. Number two is I want this to be a business that I can sell into the future. And that's really important for me. And that's what the EMA talks about. He talks a lot about the franchising model. And it doesn't matter if you're going to make your business a franchise. You don't have to, but he's saying that's a great model because the franchise model has to be repeatable, right? You have to be able, if you're going to sell a McDonald's, it has to be the system. You want to go into McDonald's in Minneapolis, and then go to that same McDonald's in Fort Lauderdale, and you want to get the same service, the same product, everything. You want it to be the same. And so that's the goal, is to have this business be franchisable. Maybe it will never be, but if I build it like that, to where I can take this same model and I can chunk it, we can go over to Miami and we can do it. We can go over to Dallas and we can do it. And it's super easy. We got these systems, we got everything in place, and we can just keep on repeating it, and boom, 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 boom. And so that's what I want to build this business like. So, and the other thing that he talks about is, do you really want to be the one in your business? He talks about this pie lady, and she's baking pies, and she's in the business. She's the one, she's there at the beginning of the day. She's cleaning, she's getting everything ready, baking these pies, and then working the whole day to sell her pies and to service her clients. And then at the end of the day, the door's shut and she's in there, she's getting everything prepped for tomorrow. She's cleaning, she's doing the book, she's doing everything. And finally at 11 o'clock at night, she goes home and can go to bed for a few hours to do it all over again 7 days a week. Do you really want to do that? And that the answer for me is absolutely not. Like, I want to grow my other businesses. I want this business to be a complementary business, not a business that gets in the way. So how do I go about doing that? And there's my roundabout answer to your questions. How do I go about doing that? Who do I hire first, second, third, and fourth? And that's where the flow chart comes in. That's where it's like, okay, strategically, who are those people that I need to put in place? So for me, I need to first put into place people that are going to help me sell the service, right? People who are going to help me market and sell the service. So that's going to be my project, salesperson. Likely they're going to be a salesperson and a project manager. Okay. Kind of doing both things. I might be doing a little bit of sales, but they're going to be doing that. The other people that I would put in place are going to be real estate agents, and my real estate agents are going to be my salespeople as well. So I'm going to be talking to the right real estate agents that understand what I'm doing, that understand the market and the profitability of that. And we're going to put together a game plan on how they're going to go into their listing leads, and they're going to essentially sell my company to them. And not necessarily do they have to use my company, but sell it as a potential service to use and a good service to use. And so that's going to be my other, and so these are both commission based, right? The real estate is commission based. But what do they get out of it? Well, they get two things. They get a listing potentially, because now they've got more to bring, right? Because that's the important thing. What are you going to bring to that listing that makes you set apart from that other, guy and gal that are going there to do it? Because there's tons of real estate agents out there. And so do you have anything unique, any unique value add proposition to bring? So that's going to help. Okay. And then the other thing is, I'm going to give you part of the profit. Okay. So you're going to get paid on two ends. You're going to get paid for the sale of the real estate. You're going to get paid for the construction. So that's commission. And the project manager / salesperson, that's another commission. So they're both commission based, and it helps get me out of it. Now, likely at the start, I'm going to have to be a little more involved. I know that for sure. I'm not going to just be able to assume everybody's going to do my job for me. But if I build it right, I will be able to kind of overlook and make sure my vision's being brought to fruition, and have the right just have the right people in place for that. So,
well, I think you've touched on two really good points. One is leading with revenue, because it's hard to hire back-end support or whatever when there's no jobs going on and no money to pay them. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, I think, partnering with real estate agents is a great natural connection there. I mean, I know from talking to people that I've listed their houses, very often the conversation is, well, do you want to list this as is, or do you want to list this fixed up and get the most that you can? And, there's different people in different situations depending on what they have available to put into the house and how quickly they need to move, and
Yeah.
lots of different factors there. But if they do decide, yes, I want to fix this up, I want to get the most I can, then they're looking to me, well, who do you know that can come in, give me a fair price, get this done on time, and you do a quality job?
Yep.
So,
And we're going to make it very attractive. And I'll talk more about this as we go, but we're going to make it very attractive for people to want to do business with us. Um, Not only, we're going to have integrity and we're going to have fair and honest prices, and we're going to do quality work, but we're going to have some other incentives in place where people are going to want to do business with us. So I think that's going to be a positive thing too, where it's going to be still you got to convince people to disrupt their own home life, but it's going to be easier for some people to swallow what we're doing when we can talk to them about why and why it's beneficial to them. So people, one of the reasons why this came up as an option and something that I thought would be beneficial is, among others that I've already talked about, is my neighbor is trying to sell their house, and they listed it for $550,000, and they're still have it on the market. I think it's down to about $450,000, and it's still sitting there, and it's going to probably sit there for quite some time, and maybe not even sell this year, maybe not until the spring, or until they drop it drastically, because was built in 1978. The house is still from 1978. They haven't touched it. They've lived there the whole time. And there's a lot of houses in the Twin Cities that were built between 1975 and 1985 that the original homeowners are living in. And guess what? They haven't updated it. They still got the same oak cabinets in there from day one. They still have the same wallpaper on the wall. They still have this same orange linoleum on their kitchen floor. That type of stuff. You know what I'm talking about. They still got the same green countertops, olive green countertops. So those people are needing something to happen to their house if they want to maximize their value. So there's a problem to solve. And that's the other thing that's really important. What's the problem you're solving? Identify that problem, identify your exact niche, and then really focus on how we can market that, and how we can solve those problems specifically. What are our pain points? What are our exact pain points on those problems, and why do you bring the value that you need? Is there really that need in the market? And for what I'm doing, I think there is a need in that market. I think people will really gravitate towards it with the right plan in place.
yeah, definitely. I was just talking to another agent in our office the other day, and he was talking about his listing where the guy had lived there for 30 years, and he hasn't touched it since then. So it has this exact same carpet it was built with.
Yeah.
So they actually tore out the carpet, and that's the extent of their renovations, because it had nice hardwood floors underneath it. But aside from that,
and that helps. That's a big step, because what's popular right now, and that's the important part, is you have to know. And so you have to have, and I talked about the real estate agents that I want to bring in. I'm not just going to bring in any real estate agent, because I don't want any real estate agent. I want a real estate agent that knows what the trends are in the market. They understand what's selling houses, and not to just a high level, a deep level. Like, I want you to understand what actually is selling houses in today's market and what those houses look like. And that's what we want to model our properties after, because if I just find an agent that can sell houses, well, anybody can sell houses. I don't want those agents. I want agents that understand top to bottom what is going on in the market, and why will this house not sell for maximum value, and what we can do to it to make it sell for maximum value. So that's critically important. So yeah, hardwood floors are great, right? Because people love hardwood floors right now. But what else is missing? I guarantee there's something else missing in that house that maybe isn't even that expensive that we can do. And that's the value proposition is what can we do for very little cost to make your house worth that much more? Because people don't want to do work. And you have wallpaper floor to
What
ceiling.
you're saying, the buyers that
The
buy the house?
buyers. Yeah,
Right.
they don't want to do work. And quite frankly, they don't have money for it. They're buying with their 3% FHA, 3.5% FHA loan. And that's all the money they have in their piggy bank. And they don't have money to do anything else. They dread the thought of ripping wallpaper off the wall. Like as easy as that is, they dread it. Like that's painful to them. And they don't even know what to do. So they're not going to rip that wallpaper off the house and repaint. That's pretty easy, but that sounds dreadful. And so they just pass on that house. So right there, that could, just by taking the wallpaper off and painting the house, that could add, $20,000, $15,000 to your value of your house. It can be a $5,000 to $8,000 cost.
Mhm.
You know.
Yep. And knowing what things will get you that return, because adding a bedroom might not get you as much return as refinishing the kitchen cabinets, or
Yep.
because so that's another thing where you can help out to guide homeowners, what's going to be worth it to spend money on.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And we could go on what things add value to houses. And I mean, it's really, there's a lot of things, but there's some simple things that people think are daunting that we can even do, like taking down a wall. A lot of people think that's a daunting thing, but we can do that in many cases for less than $5,000. Take down an entire wall, and it opens up that space and makes it look just amazing. So there's certain things that we can do that, might cost less than $5,000 or $10,000 that add $20,000, $30,000 to the value of the house.
Sure.
So, and make it sell. That's the most important part, right?
Right.
Even if you're not adding a ton of value, can you actually sell your house? Like that's important. So,
another concern that comes to mind as we think about building a business that doesn't depend on us, the concern is, well, how good of a job are all these people going to do? How are they going to stick to a good level of customer service? Are we going to get lots of complaints because I'm not doing things the way that they need to be done? So how do you, when you're setting these things up, how are you going to, set the levels of quality that you expect and keep them?
Yeah, that's a good question. That can be definitely challenging. I think one of the, one incentive is commission based, that definitely can help. But that sometimes that can hinder too, because then people are worried about the money, not about the quality and not about the service that they're adding. So it's to me, it's going to start with the vision. What are we trying to achieve? Make sure people understand the vision. Make sure that's a very important point throughout the whole process is what are we trying to achieve, right? We're trying to maximize these people's value of their property. We're trying to give them something. We're trying to solve a problem for them. They've got a house that's not going to sell for maximum value, and we've got to solve that problem. So what are we truly doing? What's our mission? Why are we trying to help? I think that's going to be really, really critical. And making sure everybody within the company understands it. And that goes all the way down to the subcontractor and the subcontractor's helper. Everybody needs to know why we're doing what we're doing. And that's going to help with our success, because just because my project manager knows it doesn't mean my subcontractor knows it. My subcontractor doesn't know it. That's a big break in the armor. So we've got to make sure everybody understands the vision, everybody's in line with it. And then it's, there's a lot of leadership, right? The project manager has to make sure the leadership is there. They've got to make sure the scheduling's there. They've got to make sure their systems and processes are in place. Systems and processes throughout need to be very sound, very easy to follow. So I think it starts with that. Leadership, motivation, Those are really key factors to making sure everybody's successful, and then holding people accountable. If you're not going to do the job in a quality way, we're either going to move on from you, or you need to change it and do it in a quality way. And most people can't change. So typically we're going to move on from you, and hopefully hiring right in the first place, and that obviously we want to do, and you're going to hire some wrong people along the way, but making sure you're keeping the right people and getting rid of the ones that are going to, make the goal and make the dream not happen. So.
Yeah, I think finding the right people is really key. You're going to have kind of two types of people in the world: that those that take responsibility for themselves and their actions, and those that don't, and always pass the buck to, oh, it was their fault or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, my wife's company is dealing with that right now, and they had a meeting, and they're they're not getting projects done on time. And so the sales reps are mad that the projects aren't getting done, and the production is mad that the salespeople are pressuring them and yelling at them. And so then, the managers came in and said, well, we knew this was going to be a problem months and months and months ago. And this is exactly what's happening. And well, you never communicated with anybody, the leadership. And that's the whole thing is a communication breakdown between the leadership and everybody else, because the leadership knew that they were going to have backups and problems, didn't do anything about it, and didn't tell anybody about it. And so now everybody's fighting within the company, yet this could have all been avoidable from the start if they either A, would have solved the problem, or B, at least told people about the problem,
right.
and got everybody's expectations in line. And so that's a big part. Is you got to make sure people's expectations are in line, and everybody knows what they're getting themselves into, because emotions run high when stress happens. And everybody, I believe that most people want to do a good job in their work. But if you're not allowing them an environment to do a good job, it's not going to happen, or eventually it's going to break down. So your environment's huge. Your goals, your processes, your systems, those are all going to be key critical factors in the success of the company. And then getting rid of the cancerous people that just aren't the right fit.
Yep.
I shouldn't call them cancerous people, because maybe they'd be great in a different company, just not your company, right? Yeah. I mean, that's mainly what I could probably keep on talking about it. I think, the key critical factors for me are setting your business up right from the start, making sure you understand the people that need to be involved in your business, making sure you understand the systems. That's really critical. Is what are the systems that are going to be needed in order for this business to succeed, and not only succeed, but be there and profitable in the future, right? And can you build this business with you eventually stepping out of the business? And is it sellable, right? And if you can't step out of the business, that's hard to sell the business. So it's got to be a business that you can sell. Can you franchise it? So I opened up this, the E-Myth, and kind of scanned through. And one of the things that I took, I'm going to just read these points. He talks about what's your primary aim, what's your strategic objective, then what's your organizational strategy, right? So how are you organized? What's the strategy behind that? What's your management strategy? What's your people strategy, marketing strategy, and system strategy? So I'll read those again. Primary aim, strategic objective, organizational strategy, management strategy, people strategy, marketing strategy, and system strategy. If you can get all of those aligned, and that's really in order, honestly. So aligned from the top down, you're going to be a lot more successful. So those are the main 7 points in the E-Myth that he talks about. Again, if you haven't read the book, read it, like pick it up now. It's a great book, but yeah, so.
Sounds good. Yeah, there's a lot of good things to consider there. I think it doesn't come natural to a lot of people, where when you start a business, sometimes it's just to satisfy the thing that you're good at and you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Um, and we don't think about, in addition to being sellable, is it transitionable, if that's a word, to your heirs once you move on, once you pass. So even
Yeah.
if you're not trying to build a business to sell, are you building a business that can transfer wealth to your kids and whatnot?
And the answer for almost every business, John, is yes, you can transfer it to your kids, but is it a business that your kids actually would want to take over?
Right.
Like, are you just transferring a big, huge, fat problem for them? Or are you actually transferring something that's truly a well-oiled machine that can continue to run? And there's a big difference there. Are your kids going to be grateful to? There's a lot of parents that try to pass down their businesses and the kids want nothing to do with it, probably because they see their parents being miserable inside that business and they don't want to be miserable bastards. So they don't want to take over the business.
Yep. Or you get the kids that's just not their personality, or it's not their interest.
You get that too, but
so,
but then you sell it. And if your kids don't want anything to do with it, you sell it. But if they don't want anything to do with it because it doesn't fit their personality, that's different than if they don't want to do it because they hate the business because they saw how much, work you had to do and how miserable you are with that business. That's a totally different point.
Right.
So cool. Well, that's it. I mean, like I said, we could probably keep on talking, but I'm getting blown up here with my phone. I got a lot of people that want to talk to me apparently. So I got to go.
That's all right. Well, listeners and viewers out there, if you enjoyed this conversation, or if you have some input on what you liked from the E-Myth, be sure to comment below. We'd love to continue the conversation either on YouTube, on Facebook, or elsewhere. As you can find us, just type in Pillars of Wealth Creation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go on there and make a comment. If you read the book, what'd you take from it? What was your favorite thing from that book? Or maybe what's your favorite, or maybe what's a success that you've had, by building your own business? What did you do? Or maybe even a failure that you want to talk about that you've learned from and now you would do differently. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Like John said, Pillars of Wealth Creation on our Facebook page, and we'd love to hear from you. So awesome, John. Well, I appreciate it. That's it. Make every day a Saturday, man.
You too.
Are you ready to start investing in real estate today, but don't know where to start? Sometimes investing can seem way too complicated, but it actually couldn't be any easier than with HomeInvest.com. You know the co-founder and my friend Nate Armstrong. He appeared on episode 20, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode number 20. Home Invest is a company that allows you to invest in turnkey real estate. Their goal is to build powerful investment tools that make real estate investing accessible to everyone. They have contractors and property managers available for you with the click of your mouse. While other real estate agents can only offer a property, Home Invest brings you a full turnkey package that allows you to diversify your investments, earn passive income, and start building equity in properties. Their simple, intuitive design allows newcomers and experienced investors alike to hit the ground running and to be able to choose the properties when they want and where they want. View easy to understand charts and data to allow you to buy in only a few clicks or just a simple phone call. With Home Invest, you'll be building your portfolio as quickly or as slowly as you would like. And right now, Home Invest is giving our listeners, Pillar of Wealth Creation listeners, a free course on how to finally win in real estate investing. So go to homeinvest.com/pillars. That's homeinvest.com/pillars to claim your free course today.